teach me a song. I'm talking the call and response, the ask and the answer. I'm talking, give me the words that let me fight for my life. Words that color this strife, that hold up over time with a natural rhyme, with a rhythm that knows the blood in the bone, that an ache need a home. We stay telling these stories and bearing this witness when the sound gets it right. That's how we take us with us. I met Louis York in a really sort of unexpected way. Nashville Ballet turned my poetry collection into a ballet, and I was actually in the show. And Chuck and Claude, Louis York, they came to the ballet, and they reached out to me afterward via Instagram and said, you were awesome. And I'd seen them perform at another Nashville Ballet thing and thought, we need to get together, Nashville creatives, people of color making art in this town. I want to get to know y'all. And a friendship began from there, and then we sort of realized quickly that we really ought to be collaborating. My background is, I think probably I would just have to say a broad strokes creative is the easiest way in for me to talk about, what I do and who I am and how all of those things came to be. I'm a poet, but I am a poet partially because I wanted to be an actress and, trying to figure out how to tell stories and write stories that I wanted to portray sent me back to my pen and paper. And then that sort of took on a life of its own. And so I live a creative life. I'm a professor. I think teaching is its own fine art too. So I get to live by my pen in a lot of different ways. And that's something I came by really honestly. Like I said, my mother is a retired songwriter and a novelist. Also, she's my cookbook co-author. My great-grandfather was a Harlem Renaissance poet and a professor at Fisk here in Nashville. I'm a Nashville girl through and through. So the first time I went to the Weirdo Workshop studio to hang out with Louis York, I was just blown away. The vibes in that house, from the crazy patchwork quilts to all of their amazing accolades on the walls, you just feel both welcomed but so humbled to get to work with Chuck and Claude as they create this amazing Louis York art. And you just know that it's a place where magic happens. I didn't even know what the meeting was exactly going to yield or even what it was really going to be about, but I went upstairs and I sat down with Louis York in their studio, and they were like, we think we should work together. We really loved your poems. We love the intersection of poetry and music. Can we play you the album? Or can we play you what we've got so far? And I said, oh my God, of course you can play me the album. And then I, because I'm me, I never travel anywhere without a notebook in my purse. So I start hearing, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I scramble, I go get my notebook, and I just started writing, riffing on what I was hearing right in the room that first meeting. And then I read them a little bit of it even before I left that day. And they sort of said, can you do more of that? And so then we had, more subsequent meetings, and I was getting audio files and listening and writing. There'd be times I was listening in my car and I'd have to say hey Siri, open a memo and write this down. And I'd have to write down something I thought as a poem to go with the album. And so it all just happened really organically. And by the time they were saying, can you write something for this? I was like, oh, trust. I'm so excited about their art, their output, their narrative. And part of it is you just have vibes with people. And Louis York and I definitely have creative vibes that are right on track with each other. This project is special for everyone, for the world, but also this project is deeply special to me because I think Louis York is at a place in its trajectory, and then Chuck and Claude individually as artists are at a place in their trajectory where they have a platform, they have the credibility, They have the vision to just be as weird but as like on the nose as possible, you know, because I think that's my favorite kind of art that's like very specific and eccentric, but also like pure pop, like speaks to like a pure popular music sensibility. And I think that getting to engage, because I'm a poet, so, you know, I wrote my first collection. I didn't expect anybody to read it. I'm so lucky that Nashville Ballet gave it its first platform, but you know, you think I'm making this sort of weird art that's in a corner. And then Chuck and Claude started with their own individual projects making mega pop art, and then they've come together, and Louis York is this wonderful intersection of really weird and particular to them, but also like the perfect manifestation of their talents too. And so to me, what's special about it for me is getting to not have to compromise any of what I want to say or how I want to say it, and still have like a popular platform, and to engage and watch. Because I always felt like my poems were supposed to go, you know, I was like, am I rapping? Am I poeming to music? Is that rap? You know? But the fact that they're giving me a chance to engage with their work, which is so like radio ready, but also wild and totally unique. The fact that I get to be a part of something like that is just a dream. Louis York has been able to allow acoustic guitar, crazy electronic moves, beautiful piano, high opera, soul, R&B, spoken word poetry, all to exist as part of one Black American past and present space, I think is really unique. I think it's fully unique, it's inspirational, and I think that it's something that the world needs to be ready for if they're not. And I think inviting popular audiences to see the multi-dimensions and dynamics of what it means to be a Black American storyteller with a Black American voice in 2019 is so important, and it's something that Chuck and Claude, as Louis York, come by so naturally. So my mom used to be in show business. I mean, my mom used to be in the music business. She's a retired songwriter, and she also used to write screenplays. And some of the best advice she ever received from somebody that we all know, but I'm not gonna name drop here, was you either do something for no money or a lot of money if you want, you know, a career that works. You don't need to nickel and dime people on the way up if you're in a position where you don't need to. And because I teach and I have my bread and butter. And so I just thought, you know, in a songwriting town, people go, oh, you just went in a writing room? Like you didn't even ask about, I said, are you kidding me? Two brilliant young Black men are saying, come hear our art. Like the idea that I would say no to that I wouldn't just give whatever came to me from that is ridiculous. You know, I just wanted to sit down and share in their creative space, because I think one of the amazing things about Louis York and about the whole Weirdo Workshop community they've created is that it's such a sense of rising together. There's nothing, there's not ego there. There's just a lot of excellence and creativity and magic. And so I jumped at the opportunity to sit in the room, purely for the opportunity to sit in the room. I'm a weirdo too. I took my weirdo and put it first and became this book nerd first. And they took their swag as they came to understand it and put that first. And they were able to generate their own output, but then also to provide creative energy toward other people's records, right? And I think when I sat down with them, I thought the world, you know, as a weird Black person in the world, like people don't know all of the wonderful scope of our weirdness in some ways, because Black art gets put in so many boxes. And I thought, I feel how this comes together. I feel that all of this is one true story, right? And I wanted to write poems that told that truth, that it is one true story, because I think that so much of why we feel weird or misunderstood is not being certain that other people will understand how we can hold all of these things in us at once. And I almost felt protective of the wild ranginess of the album, because I felt like we've got to make sure everyone gets that this goes together. And I think that at first that was a gut check reaction, but I think also, Teach Me a Song and I Wonder and Electric Blue, they all come from like my heart. They all speak to my heart. They come from Louis York's heart, but they all speak to, similar chambers of my heart. Getting to be a Black creative in this time, in this country, is an insane gift, because, relative to other chapters of our history in this country, we are safer, literally in our bodies physically. And so when we say what we need to say, and when we get our platform, we get to just say it and remain and say, listen, witness me. We have always been there, and we've always been making this exceptional art. And right now we get to claim it and have it be the profound celebration that it always should have been. What I would say to Chuck and Claude is that I don't think they know how much they've opened a door for me into my own dreams, both in terms of the content of the album, but also in terms of the opportunity to have my art be seen and felt the way I hoped it would be. And I think that the gift of their vision, that they saw me and said, your voice has a place here, not only is it priceless, it's a gift the likes of which I may never have been given before, and that I probably was too shy to seek out for myself at this chapter of my life. And to sit down in a room when I thought maybe this poetry thing is the thing. And that's a good life, but it's a part of a dream. And then to go into a room and have two people that you admire say, why don't we just put you on this album? Which, is a sentiment I've literally dreamed about since I was 3. The fact that their excellence allows space for creating opportunity for other people is so precious and so rare. And I think that they know they've got something magical, but I think they don't know, I don't think that they know how the scale of inspiration that we get just from watching them hold down the practical side of creating art that sells records, and then also uphold that idealistic side of including our whole story, of letting everybody be as weird and wonderful as they want to be at the same time. I don't know anything like it. I am so grateful to be claimed by them and to get to work with them.